Greetings, everyone. I'm Mar. Once again, this is my opinion. As you can tell from the title up there, I'm continuing my trek through the classic show from the 90s that I still have a lot of nostalgia for, BTAS, Batman, the Animated Series. Now we are on episode 2, Christmas with the Joker. And of course on Max, this is listed as episode 38. Now, in production order, this episode, which was directed by Kent Butterworth from a teleplay by Eddie Gorodetsky, you can definitely tell that this is an early Joker episode because the writing, it definitely feels like an early episode with this character. If there's anything, it does its job of introducing the character and his dynamic with the Dark Knight. That's the best I can say it for, and I do like its use of the Christmas theme in its music, but other than that, this is a pretty weak episode and a little bit of a fall off from a strong first episode, so I could see why in the grand scheme of things, when you look on a Max, it's later on. Get some stronger episodes out first and then do that, but looking at it in production order, ooh boy. And Gorodetsky, I can see why this is the only episode he wrote for this series. His other credits, he wrote episodes of SNL from 87, and Fresh Prince, he wrote episodes from 93 to 95, so the latter half of the show. And he wrote for Two and a Half Men from 03 to 2013. Now, here we also got our first appearances of Robin, so does his job is introducing Robin to the audience as well, and giving us his dynamic with Bruce, even though if we're going into this without knowing a lot of the character history of Robin from the comics, there's not really a lot there other than their dynamic of being partner and them having some other type of relationship, but what it is, they don't really mention, but we'll find out later on in the show. And of course, we got Lauren Lester voicing Robin, and the great Mark Hamill voicing the Joker. Now to bring it up, Hamill was not the first choice for the Joker. In fact, he was not the first person cast. That goes, of course, to the equally legendary Tim Curry. Which of those two, if you were to say who, based on their previous work before this, would you see more voicing the Joker, you'd have to give it to Curry. Because like I mentioned in the top video, before this, Hamill's biggest claim to fame was Star Wars. I mean, he had done other stuff. I mean, only one jumping out at me right now is the Guyver, but he'd had an alright career after Star Wars. Well, you look at Hamill and Curry, you're like, oh yeah, Curry. Especially since just before this, he had played another evil clown in the form of Pennywise. So with that, the way he did his voice in that one, you can definitely see him. Now, producers have claimed that he was too scary after 3 episodes. And also it seems someone in the production team wasn't really a fan of Curry doing it. And they eventually axed him. And I guess later Curry claimed he developed bronchitis during the initial session, so they have to axe him. And of course, in recent years, a recording of Curry from one of these episodes has surfaced. And it's a little weird, especially when you go off the scary thing, because some of it you're like, that doesn't really seem that scary. But then later parts of it, when he goes into a lower part of his register, I could see it being scary. And we're also looking at it from just one of the 3 episodes that he recorded. This episode, I don't really see his performance being that scary other than maybe a couple moments. But another one, and especially later on if he had stayed, I could definitely see this combined with it being a reason that people would not have liked clowns. Like, could you imagine Tim Curry, especially if he went into his Pennywise, I'll kill you all thing, doing Joker and later stuff where the gloves are a little bit more off? Like, imagine him voicing the Joker in Return of the Joker. Oh, yeah. But that didn't happen. Curry got the axe. Hamill got cast. And one of the things that he had to deal with in this initial episode was he had to match the lip flaps. And he does a pretty good job matching it. And his performance is pretty good. Although it's more comedic Joker from his repertoire here. And we get that right off the bat where we see the Joker is at Arkham Asylum and it's Christmas. You know, the inmates are having a Christmas thing. They're decorating a tree and they're singing Jingle Bells. And then Joker hijacks it and we get our funny rendition of Jingle Bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg. Which tells you that Jingle exists in universe. That's fun. And then, of course, with the Joker got away, we find out that it's a rocket tree, and he gets it the hell out of there. Of course, Batman, knowing Joker's on the loose, even though it's Christmas, he has to go out on patrol. At first, it seems like it's going to be a silent night, because nothing's going on. Even what looks to Batman like it's going to be a potential mugging turns out to be a good Samaritan. Oh, lady, you dropped this a couple blocks back. Oh, thank you, young man. That was a Christmas gift for my grandson. Oh. Now, Robin had made a deal with Batman. Like, we'll go on patrol. Doesn't look like anything's going on. We'll go home and watch It's a Wonderful Life. And Batman's like, I could never get past the title. Nice little joke there. You kind of get Batman's trauma and all that. But also him saying he's never watched it and all that. Up until a few years ago, I could get the sentiment, because for the longest time, I'd never watched it either. But having watched it, I get what Robin's getting on about, especially with him trying to get Batman into watching it. It shows how one man can make a difference in a certain situation. Yeah, that is true. If you watch the movie, you know about that. Now, they go home, it looks like they're about to watch it, and then the Joker hijacks the TV broadcast, and he has kidnapped 3 people. 2 of them are Commissioner Gordon and Harvey Bullock, and he's going to put them through stuff until Batman can find him. And one of the things he does is he has his henchmen blow up a bridge. So Batman's got to save people on a train there going towards the bridge. He's got to beat up henchmen. And he eventually makes it to where the Joker is at, and it's an old abandoned toy factory. Very on theme, both for the Christmas aspect and for the Joker aspect. Of course, Batman and Robin, they get through the minions, they get through his gadgets and toys, which is why I say you can definitely tell this is an early Joker episode with the theme. This is, of course, where that one line that lives forever in meme infamy comes from, where Batman's got the actual baseball bat and he's going at things, and Robin's like, they don't call you Batman for nothing. Anyway, that's a little bit of a chuckle line. You know, Eddie was having a little fun with that. He had to have his tongue firmly in cheek for that line. And eventually they beat the Joker and send his butt back to Arkham. And of course he's singing more Christmas carols. And it ends, nice little heartwarming ending, with all 3 of them, Batman, Robin, and Alfred, back at home while having watched It's a Wonderful Life. And it's kind of melted Batman's heart a little bit. Now, Bruce Timm has said that he likes that Fox always ran this episode on Christmas. It's really different than a typical sappy Christmas episode. It's dark, bitter, and weird. A little bit, I'd say weird. I don't know if I'd say dark other than the fact that you blow up a train. So it has a little bit of darkness. I guess you say it's dark for a kid's show. But it's not as dark as this show would go. I guess this is as dark as they could get away with early on with standards and practices, really watching them with a fine-tuned comb. And of course, they refused to approve the original script, where I guess Joker stole a regular family at one point. And that's probably part of the reason why there were changes. It might also be why this is Eddie's only episode, because he's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to be under these confines. I mean, sometimes them only being there for one episode is a good thing, because they're just hard to work with. Star Trek. If you know, you know. There's not really much else to say about this episode. I mean, like I said, it's a very early on episode. Does its job of introducing the characters, but I think other than maybe watching it on Christmas, it's definitely on the skip list for me, because other than those few moments that are worth remembering, you know, Jingle Bells, and then they don't call you Batman, there's really nothing much else to note about this episode, other than the fact it is Mark Hamill's first appearance, technically, as the Joker. So for historical purposes, that's its main one. But even then, you can see that you could see all the notes that he has to be that character are there. He's just not playing them all like a virtuoso as of yet. But we still got plenty of episodes to go through. By this series end, Mark Hamill will have nailed all those notes and have found the essence of that character. So we will get to that when we get to that. And now it's time to go on to the next episode, which this will be a fun one because it's going to be another character that would later be in the live action films. At this point he wasn't, but of course this is going to be a Scarecrow episode. Next time it's going to be Nothing to Fear. Till then, everybody.